What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sustainably Healthy Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Nika Lee. Appreciate you for tuning in. I'm so sad because last week I forgot to mention that October 20th was Happy Day. And I always talk about Happy Day, and I missed an opportunity because last week my podcast episode launched on Happy Day, and I didn't even mention it. So I'm going to make up for that and just encourage you to celebrate your Happy Day. If you're not familiar with Happy Day, it's a holiday my son created back in 2020. And we celebrate it every year on October 20th. But once again, this is late, but this is a late celebration. So I encourage you, the day that you're listening to this episode, and this has nothing to do with the episode actually, but the day that you're listening to this episode, I want you to, if it's in the morning, make this your happy day. If you are listening to this later in the evening, make a full the next 24 hours your happy day. Okay, but what happy day is, and I love it. I love it because it came from such a good, kind-hearted place. Back in 2020, obviously, it was not the greatest year for many of us. Very stressful, very overwhelming. We were losing jobs. I remember that year specifically, I was a server, and I remember not having a job that summer, but that was the year that was a very transformational year for me. Because I did get my personal training certification and decided to go forward with coaching and let go of serving. I was still a server throughout the year of 2020, but anyways, October 20th, I remember was very stressful because my husband was working for a company at the time, an awful company at the time. He was working for this company who, he was still he was getting started in not his business, his field. So he's an avionics technician. So he's a manager in the aviation field. There's lots of different terms there, but it was when he was just getting started. And so he had to really put himself out there and do the grunt work. And so his job, it was, like I said, didn't work for the greatest company at the time, but it was a stepping stone to where he is now, I will say. They sent him out, I want to say he was sent out to Louisiana he had to go fix an aircraft, right? And so he was sent out there, and I remember he had to leave, he came home one day and he's like, I gotta go. They are sending me out there. It's important. I have to get this airplane up and running or else blah, 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 whatever. So sends them out there, and he was like, I'll only be gone for a few days. I'll be back in a couple days. And he was gone that time. I want to say he was gone 2 to 3 weeks. And I remember at that time, my mental health was, we're still making progress on it, but I remember back in 2020, my mental health was not well. I was a mess, and I didn't have a lot of the habits and the techniques and the, why am I struggling with words so much? I didn't have a lot of the things that I do now, the knowledge that I have now, and experience in managing my emotions at that time. And so I remember it was just a very, very difficult time for me because if you know me, I depend on my husband for probably a little bit too many things. He goes to the grocery store with me. He helps me. I adore my husband. And I love spending time with him. And I even still to this day, hate when he leaves out of town. I'm sure if you have a husband and he travels, you understand. But I'm much better at managing my emotions and more independent now than I was back then. And so back to the story. He was gone for those 3 weeks. It was a very, very difficult time. Josh's mom was living with us at the time, and Zayden was, of course, with us. And that year, I'm sure he picked up on all of the stress that we were going through. And that day, I'm not sure what was going on, but he was having a bad day, or him and my mother-in-law were hanging out, and he knew I was under some stress. And he decided to make the holiday Happy Day. And what's really awesome about this, and so he came up with it, and he was like, you have to be happy on happy day. You cannot be sad on happy day. Like, that is the one rule on happy day, is you have to be happy all day long, no matter what. and and so ever since then he like, what's great about it is we can make decorations, because you could just cut out the birthday and make it happy day on like any banners. And so we've done that in the past few years too. But yeah, and then what was awesome about that day was my mother-in-law, she came up to me after he had decided October 20th is going to be his holiday. Then we invited everyone to celebrate with us. She came up to me, she was like, what's crazy is he didn't know this, but October 20th is the day, is the anniversary of Josh's dad's passing. And we didn't know that at all. Like, I had no idea. Because my husband's father passed away when he was 2 years old. So my husband didn't really know his dad. And so he never really talked about his dad or when his dad passed or what time of year that was. So it was never something I knew. And his mom had mentioned that is the day that he passed away. And so it's kind of just a meaningful day for us, but we always mention it and tell people to celebrate, because I think there's some good meaning behind it. There's good meaning behind just being able to shift your mindset, and it gives you some sort of power. Like, hey, it kind of reminds you that you are in charge of how you handle the day. You have the capability to shift how your day goes, despite the circumstances, despite the obstacles, despite whatever goes on in your life. You are capable of shifting your mindset and making it a better day, making it a successful day. Whatever the case may be, you can shift that mindset. So if something bad happens to you or something pisses you off, you could say, hey, someone's driving like crazy on the road and it's pissing you off, cut you off. Hey, it's happy day, and I'm going to focus on being happy today. So I'm not going to let that ruin me. I'm not going to let that piss me off. I'm not going to let that ruin my day. We're just going to continue to move on. It's happy day. We're going to keep moving forward. So like I said, I know this is late, and honestly, I'm sure many of you don't even listen to the episode the day this comes out anyways. Some of you may be listening to this far in the future. Maybe it's Happy Day 2026. But any day can be Happy Day, and just let that be a reminder that you can shift your mindset at any point. Any day, any time, you will have that capability. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, especially if you struggle with emotional regulation. Trust me, I get it. But I will tell you, this holiday is just that constant reminder. Like, I wish I could remind myself of Happy Day more often. I should have more happy days, honestly. But like I said, just around this time of year, it's a good time to remind myself, hey, it's Happy Day. We can focus on the positives, not just fixate on the negatives. So that's my little intro for you. Happy day. Even though it's not happy today. Today is actually October 24th, the day I'm recording this. So, but it was kind of sad, I will say, this year when we celebrated, because Zayden, if you saw my Instagram story that day, it's crazy how much he's grown up this past year. He literally turned 12 and hit puberty overnight. I swear. This time last year, I was looking at videos of him, and his voice was squeaky. He had a little bit of chubbier cheeks. He was a little bit, not like overweight at all, but he was a little chunky. Like, typically boys get a little bit chunky right before they're about to hit puberty, and then literally turned 12, sprouted up, voice is super deep now. He's about my height. Got super lean, because I'm sure sports contributed, but he stretched out and thinned out. And so it was funny, I was posting the videos of him this year saying happy day, and he's like, happy day. And then last year he's like, it's happy day. And he was way more excited last year about happy day. He's too cool. He's starting to get too cool for happy day, but hopefully it'll make a comeback again. Hopefully he won't be I know right now he's in that transitional phase of becoming a teenager, and so really, really worried about his image and how he comes off. He doesn't want to come off not cool, or I don't know. So it was a little bit tough this year because he wasn't as excited about Happy Day, but that's okay. I'm just hoping someday we'll be able to tell him, he'll be able to create more excitement around it and share it with his kids. So it's still something we're going to celebrate every single year on October 20th. But yeah, so anyways, I need to get to this podcast episode because my husband's going to be home. And literally when he comes home, I blank out and I can't record my podcast. Like, I'm like, I can't talk on my podcast when anybody's in the house. So let's get into it today. So, I guess kind of getting into what the episode is going to be about. Little backstory. I have been really focusing on Olympic weightlifting for, so I've been obviously working on it. I do CrossFit and there is Olympic weightlifting in CrossFit itself. However, CrossFit Olympic weightlifting and then actual Olympic weightlifting is two very, very different things. CrossFit is more, you want to get as many reps and high reps and heavy weight as fast as possible, whereas Olympic weightlifting is more technique, slowing it down, focusing on form. And so with everything going on as far as like my fertility journey and just life in general, just trying to reduce stressors and injury. My shoulder's been injured. And mainly because I'm doing those high rep movements at a heavier weight, I decided, okay, I need to shift my focus and I really want to, I've become obsessed with watching Olympic weightlifters. Like I like to watch Olivia Reeves or Maddie Rogers. If you don't know those names, look them up. They're freaking incredibly strong women who are snatching like 300 pounds for the most part. They're dang close. I will say definitely over 200 pounds, but still. Pretty crazy to see them lift. And I've just become obsessed with the sport, obsessed with watching the sport, obsessed with just watching myself do these movements and perfect my form. And I'm nowhere near perfected this form. But I've been loving it. And so I really wanted to find that passion in sports again, because last year I did a CrossFit competition and it really took me out. That CrossFit competition was awesome. I'm really glad I did it. However, I was super sick afterwards. Both shoulders were injured afterwards. And I just realized like CrossFit is something that is just really hard on my body. And it's just something I can't sustain long term. Like I can do it every once in a while, maybe once or twice a week, which I still do. But I knew that in order to progress, I needed to dial it back a little bit off. And then of course I'm on my fertility journey. And so even though we are experiencing infertility, it is male factor. Even though it is male factor, I still need to do my part and take care of, my hormones and optimize my body to, in the case that we do get pregnant, I'm able to carry a healthy pregnancy. And so doing what I can to reduce those excess stressors as much as possible. And so that's why I decided, I'm going to shift my focus and really focus on the Olympic weightlifting, because it's not as, even though it looks like it is, it's not as stressful on the body. There are some stressors, obviously, lifting heavy weights and technique, but for the most part, it is honestly forcing me to work on my weaknesses and build on those weaknesses. Like, for example, my shoulder. I've been really struggling all year, honestly, since that CrossFit competition, with my left shoulder giving me issues to the point where I wasn't able to even do any Olympic lifting at the beginning of this year. But since prioritizing more Olympic weightlifting, I've been really honing in on like my warm-ups and my shoulder stability exercises, and that has helped build that strength. And so it's just really forcing me to work on those small things that I've been putting off because I'm like, I'll just push through it. It's CrossFit and you just push through the pain. Olympic weightlifting has forced me to kind of focus on the little things that, like my mobility, my hips, my joints, all of those things. So like I said, the past couple months, I've been shifting my focus to Olympic weightlifting. If you're not familiar with what Olympic weightlifting is, it's primarily focusing on improving and gaining strength in two specific weightlifting movements, the snatch and the clean and jerk. And that's it. You're just really honing in on those two movements and trying to improve your power in these movements, improve your strength, improve your form, improve your mobility. But these two movements do require a lot of mobility, a lot of focus, a lot of technique, a lot of taking steps back, slowing things down. And they are very difficult. But when you do see someone, or when you even feel like the technique all click together, it's like this, it's like art. It really is. Like when you become obsessed with it, it's like art. It's like the movement flows, the weight kind of floats up, and it just looks like chef's kiss. And so, and so, like I said, I've been really focusing on these movements, these lifts, and it's crazy because the past few months I actually have been, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make these my focus. I'm going to, for, my weekly schedule, I'm going to do 3 days of Olympic weightlifting. I purchased a program a few months ago, so I've been following a program and getting feedback from an Olympic weightlifting coach. And so it's been kind of cool to learn new things and improve my form. And what was awesome was, so when I first decided, okay, I'm going to make this my focus, I was looking around the area to see, because I'm really motivated by forcing functions. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast, is forcing functions or things that are outside of you that kind of force you to focus on a goal or get something done. And so I knew that signing up for an Olympic weightlifting competition would really force me to focus on Olympic weightlifting and stick with it, right? And so I was looking for one in the area, and there was none popping up. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just still focus on it. And then it is what it is. There's nothing in the area. And so I kind of let it go. And then I was scrolling socials not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, actually. And I came across, so I follow an Olympic weightlifting gym that is in the Arizona area, in Tempe. And I came across their story, and they had an ad on their story for an Olympic weightlifting meet. And I was like, oh, awesome. I'm like, oh, cool. They're having a meet. I'm like, oh, maybe, I don't know if I should do it. And, because you get the second guessing, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And then I look at the bottom of the ad, and it says, at CrossFit Unhinged. And I was like, wait, what? And so I look at it again and click on it, and sure enough, it's at CrossFit Unhinged. And Unhinged is that's the gym I coach at. That is my gym. That is my CrossFit gym that I coach at, that I go to every single day at CrossFit Unhinged. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't know it was at my gym, this Olympic weightlifting competition. And so I'm like, well, this is a sign. Like, I've been focusing on it. I've been working on these movements. It's a sign that I have to do this, because it's literally God telling me, hey, I am making this as easy as possible for you to reach this goal, to focus on this goal. So you need to sign up for this competition immediately. So I was like, okay. And so I literally was like, this is a sign. I took it as a sign, and I just pulled the trigger and signed up. And it was $100. And so I pulled the trigger, signed up, and reached out to my gym owner, and I was like, hey, I didn't know we're having a CrossFit I didn't know we were having an Olympic weightlifting competition here. And she's like, oh yeah, all Unhinged members actually get to join for free. And I was like, what? I just paid $100. She's like, yeah, it's free. And so I'm like, okay, even more of a sign. I'm like, hopefully I'll get my money back. And so sure enough, I did get refunded. So I am participating. I wouldn't necessarily call it competing, because it's more me competing against myself. Yes, I'm technically competing against other women, but I'm not necessarily, I am not training in a way so there's in my weight class, there's girls who are way, way beyond my skill level. I'm still at the beginning stages, so I'm going there. I have done an Olympic weightlifting meet in the past, so my goal for this meet is to beat those lifts, is to lift heavier than I hit those lifts from that last one. And it's been almost 2 years since I did that one. So I would hope that I would beat those lifts. My technique has definitely improved a lot. My strength, not so much. I've maintained a steady strength. I've hit a couple PRs here and there. But from that competition, I think I'll be able to hit a heavier snatch. But for my clean and jerk, I actually, last week I tested it, and I was able to hit 5 pounds more than what I hit in that meet last time. So we'll see. Stay tuned. That is my goal, is to beat those numbers from 2 years ago. But we'll see how it goes. And like I said, this is a more me versus me. Plus, of course, doing these things. So if you're not familiar with how an Olympic weightlifting meet is structured, it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's nothing like a competition for CrossFit. It's more, you are literally on a stage. And at this point, this one's a very small community one. So it's not like on top of a pedestal or anything like that, but you are the center of attention, basically. You are in the middle of this platform, and there's judges that are circled around you. You have a whole audience watching you. You are lifting. You are the only person lifting at that time, and everybody's watching you. And yeah, that's nerve-wracking, and you're supposed to hit this lift perfectly. So yeah, that's gonna be my next goal that I'm working on. At the time of this podcast episode launches, it's going to be on Saturday, November 1st is the day of my competition. So give me a follow on Instagram. I'm sure I will be posting all of the lifts, whether I make them or not. I'm going to be sharing my experience. So it'll be exciting, but I will share with you real quick, and we won't make this too long, but I will share with you a couple of things that I feel like I've been learning when it comes to Olympic weightlifting that kind of carries into my life and carries into just my life in general. And I think these things might be good reminders for you. And I mean, I'm not saying these things to encourage you to do Olympic weightlifting, although I do think it's something that many people could benefit from and enjoy. It's one of those things where it takes time and patience, but yeah, we'll get into it. So I wrote down a few things, just a few lessons, I suppose, that I've learned with Olympic weightlifting. And I kind of just said it right now, but number one is patience. Like, the progress when it comes to Olympic weightlifting, you heard me talk about my progress. I mean, my lifts, my PRs. When I first started, obviously, PRs came very, very quickly. When I first started CrossFit and I was learning the snatch and I was learning the clean and jerk, PRs came very quickly because I was just literally getting stronger, and it just came easily at that time. As I started doing these things more and more, it got harder and harder to hit PRs. Not only that, it's not just about the PRs. When it comes to Olympic weightlifting, you want to rush under the bar with both the snatch and the clean and the jerk, honestly. And what it has taught me is patience, being patient and moving at the right time, making sure you finish before you skip to the next thing. Like, having patience is key when it comes to Olympic weightlifting, but it also is key when it comes to life in general, when it comes to your health and fitness journey, right? Having patience and pushing through and not rushing things is going to make it perfect. It'll make it easier. It'll make the weight feel weightless, right? Same thing goes for your health and fitness journey. If you have patience to really focus on your form, your basics, the foundation, focus on those things, have patience, everything else is going to feel weightless once you achieve that goal. Once you start to get a hang of things. Like, for example, you're wanting to rush the process when it comes to losing weight. You're wanting to rush the process when it comes to achieving this big goal, right? And so you make leaps and bounds and try to skip over certain steps. There's a good chance that, okay, maybe you make that lift, but it's going to be a struggle, and it could potentially injure you. Like, I'm using this as an analogy, like, let's say the snatch, right? If you rush under that, it's going to be very difficult to catch it. You're going to catch it a little bit with instability, and you have the chance of getting hurt. Same thing goes for your health and fitness journey. If you are making leaps and bounds, say, for example, you decide to do a quick fix detox or whatever weight loss drug quick fix, and you don't focus on the technique, being patient, the boring habits, dialing it in and taking a step back and slowing down the process, then you are at risk for injuries, honestly, but you are also at risk for, it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to feel the way you had hoped it felt at the end of it. It's not going to feel as what's the word, fulfilling, I suppose, at the end. Because even though maybe, yes, you made that lift, yes, you reached that weight loss goal, you're not going to 100% be satisfied with it because you cheated the process, right? And not saying that you cheated the process, but like you don't have, there's a good chance you won't be able to hit that again, right? Same thing for the Olympic weightlifting. Like maybe you got lucky and you hit that weight with the horrible form and you rushed under it, and then you try to do that again and you cannot make that lift again. That's the same thing for your health and fitness journey, because you weren't focusing on the foundation. You weren't focusing on being patient and learning the fundamentals and learning the techniques and making sure you have that full extension of the hips before you drop under the bar. That's the foundation. Those are the boring steps, the nutrition, the movement, the sleep, the sustainable 7. That's having the patience to do those things first before seeing those results. And I promise you, once you focus on having patience, it'll make the end result much more fulfilling, and you will be much more satisfied with what that looks like. So that's lesson 1. Lesson 2, technique over force. So with Olympic lifts, it's not about muscling through. You can't just yank the bar up and hope it goes well. It's about technique, being intentional, controlled, and patient. And that's kind of like with life. You can't force it. You can't force anything, but once you have the technique down, it comes to you so much easier, right? Getting back to the basics. It's kind of along with the patience, but also not forcing it either. I was listening to, what was I listening to? Oh no, I wasn't listening. I was talking to a client, and she was talking about how she doesn't necessarily remember where, but she heard this metaphor where, when you're trying to push against the current of a river, right? And you're trying to push, or you're in a boat and you're pushing against it, it's so difficult. And once you finally let go, your boat starts to flow in the right direction, and that's actually the direction you're supposed to go. And so it shouldn't be so hard to achieve a specific goal. If you're forcing, you need to focus on, the technique and just sometimes just going with the flow and taking a step back and asking yourself, why is it so hard? And for a lot of times it shouldn't be so hard. You just need to dial it back and take a step back and focus on the basics before trying to force anything. So that is lesson 2 of what Olympic weightlifting has taught me, is forcing it is not going to work. You gotta take a step back, focus on the basics, focus on the technique, and even if that means taking off the weight, stripping off the weight, and not forcing it over your head, just slow and controlled, and even if it's just with a barbell, right? So, lesson number 3, failure is great feedback. And this is the truth. This is such truth. And I can tell you, I'm one of the first people to say that I struggle with fear of failure. I don't like to fail. I honestly, even in lifts, I have been known to not attempt something if I knew I was going to fail at it. I don't want to look dumb. I don't look stupid. But to be real honest with you guys, since focusing on Olympic weightlifting, I fail a lot. and I honestly have been posting a lot more of my failures on my story and everything, but with those, I fail a lot. But with every failure, instead of looking at it as like I'm doomed to never achieve this goal, to never hit that lift, instead what I'm doing is there's a reason I record all of my Olympic weightlifting. And it's not to post it on Instagram, although yes, I do enjoy posting it and sharing my PRs and things like that. But the reason I record, and I record every single lift, is to really manipulate and look at my technique and see how I can improve myself. Like when I visually can see myself, oh, I moved that foot a little bit too quickly, or my butt came up too quickly, or I pulled my arms, or whatever the case may be, I'm able to look that up, look at that failure, and it gives me feedback to improve. When I fail, that shows me I can learn how to improve for the next lift and improve a little bit more. And I'm not going to just magically improve overnight. It's taken me years to look at this failure and improve a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. Same thing goes with life. And even if you have to record yourself in some things, right? If you're at the gym and you're failing something, record your lifts and look at it. Okay, I failed. That doesn't mean I'm doomed. That doesn't mean I suck and I'm doomed to suck for the rest of my life. How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I gain knowledge? Because, okay, I failed, but it's true. You improve way faster the more you fail versus just trying to improve without failures. It's so true. And so just kind of reminding yourself of that, like, don't be afraid of failure, because if you look at failure instead as something that's going to teach you something, then you're going to grow a lot faster in all aspects of life. So, and then lesson number 4 is you can love something and still struggle with it. And this one really gets me because I truly love what I do. I love coaching. I love helping women. I love talking about health, but honestly, lately, it's been really hard for me. It's been hard because I feel like competing in the coaching industry has been very difficult. And so I'm like, what am I even doing anymore? I love this, but I hate it because I struggle with it. And Olympic weightlifting has honestly taught me that you can love something and still struggle with it. That doesn't mean that you are doomed either. I truly, I'm obsessed with Olympic weightlifting right now. It's crazy, but I still struggle with it. I'm not the best at it. I still am having struggles. And so it's taught me that, hey, it's okay to love something and still struggle with something. You don't have to be great at something to love it, and what's great is I can grow, and I have room for growth in coaching. I have room for growth in Olympic weightlifting. And so the same thing goes for you. If you're beating yourself up for struggling with something that you love so much, hey, that two things can be true. So, yeah. And that is pretty much it when it comes to the lessons that I've learned from Olympic weightlifting so far. Stay tuned to hear how the competition went. I will chat about that probably in the next 2 weeks, because I technically will record an episode before my meet for this week. And so stay tuned, or like I said, follow along on my stories. But to finish off this episode, wanted to share with you real quick before you leave. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Listen to me. No, we are going to be having another Challenge That Lasts opening, our registration opening. It's always open, but November 1st is on Saturday. So at the first of every month, we have a brand new, fresh challenge. And I say challenge in air quotes because this really becomes a long-term sustainable thing. It's not just a quick 4-week challenge. It's hey, we get an exciting fresh start every month, but the goal is to make it the challenge that lasts, the habits that last, the lifestyle, the health, the goals that last. This is not something that's a quick fix that you're going to start over and end up falling off all the time. This is something that lasts. And so we want you to join us. Like I said, November 1st, we have a fresh new challenge. So you basically earn points and you get a chance to win a prize every single month. But once again, that challenge starts fresh every single month. So you get to work on these habits long term. This is not just a challenge. This is a all-inclusive group coaching program where you get access to not one, but 2 awesome coaches who really are passionate about sustainable health, who really want to help you and connect with you and guide you through the process. And I know this is a tough time of year. I know this is a time where a lot of people typically just say, I'll wait until January. There's too much going on. I don't care. There's so many temptations with food. I don't want to track my food. I don't want to track anything. That's okay. Join us. And yes, we do encourage you to track some habits, but for the most part, you'll have a community, and that's the most important thing. You will have a community to support you, encourage you, challenge you, and cheer you on throughout the holidays and so on. So come join us in the Challenge That Last. I'll put the link to join us in the show notes. And other than that, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, I hope this episode was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.